David, thank you so much for coming in today. We've really enjoyed getting to know you throughout this entire interview process, and everyone on the team has had wonderful things to say.
John?
It's my genuine pleasure to tell you that we would love to offer you the Content Strategy Manager position here at the agency. This is an exciting role, and we truly believe you'd be a fantastic fit for our team and company culture.
Rachel, thank you so much. That is truly wonderful news, and I really appreciate you telling me in person. I've thoroughly enjoyed every conversation throughout this process, and I've come away even more impressed by the team and the direction the company is heading. The work you're doing in digital content strategy is exactly where I want to be, and I'm genuinely excited about the possibility of contributing. I'd love to hear all the details of the offer so we can move forward together.
Absolutely, let's get right into it. We're prepared to offer you a base salary. That's the fixed annual amount before any bonuses of $68,000 per year. In addition to that, the role comes with our standard benefits package, which includes full health insurance coverage, 2 weeks of paid vacation per year, and a flexible work-from-home policy that allows you to work remotely 2 days each week. We think it's a strong overall package for this level of position.
Thank you for laying that all out so clearly, Rachel. I really appreciate the transparency. I want to say up front that I'm genuinely enthusiastic about this role and everything the company stands for. That said, I was hoping we could discuss the base salary a little further. Based on my research into current market rates for a content strategy manager at this level, and considering my 5 years of hands-on industry experience, I was actually expecting something a bit closer to $75,000. Is there any flexibility in that number?
I appreciate you bringing that up directly, David. It's always better to have these conversations openly rather than letting uncertainty linger. I understand where you're coming from, and I genuinely respect the fact that you've done your homework before coming in today. I do have some degree of flexibility within our budget, but I want to be fully transparent with you. $75,000 is above the range we've allocated for this particular role. Before I respond further, could you walk me through the reasoning behind that number? I'd like to understand your thinking.
Of course, I'm happy to explain my reasoning. I looked at industry benchmarks from several well-known salary surveys and compensation databases, and for a content strategy manager with my background and experience level in this city, the median salary falls somewhere between $72,000 and $78,000 annually. Beyond the market data, I also bring a proven track record, meaning a history of real, measurable results, including growing organic traffic by over 40% at my previous company. I believe that kind of performance adds significant value to your team, and I think the number I'm proposing reflects that fairly.
Those are genuinely compelling points, David, and by compelling, I mean strongly persuasive and well supported. The 40% organic traffic growth you mentioned is particularly impressive, and it's absolutely one of the reasons we're so excited about bringing you on board. After hearing your reasoning, I think I can move the base salary up to $72,000. That's the upper edge of what I'm authorized to approve without going to our budget committee. Does that feel like a step in the right direction for you?
I really appreciate you working with me on this, Rachel. It means a lot that you're willing to revisit the number. $72,000 is definitely a step in the right direction, and I want to acknowledge that. Since it sounds like the base salary may have a ceiling at this point, I'm wondering whether the company would be open to discussing other aspects of the benefits package. For example, would it be possible to add a third week of paid vacation? Or perhaps we could discuss having my first performance review at the 6-month mark rather than waiting the standard 12 months.
That's actually a very reasonable and thoughtful approach to the negotiation, David. I appreciate that you're thinking holistically about the total package rather than fixating on just one number. I can absolutely authorize, that is, officially approve, a 6-month performance review with the possibility of a merit-based raise, meaning a salary increase tied directly to your results and the targets you achieve. As for the additional vacation week, that's something I'd like to look into a bit more, but it may well be something I can approve on my end without escalating it further.
That sounds very encouraging, Rachel, and I'm genuinely grateful for your openness throughout this conversation. I want to be clear about something. I'm not trying to be difficult or push back for the sake of it. I simply believe that when both sides feel good about an agreement from the very start, it sets a much stronger foundation for a productive working relationship. I want to make sure we start off on the right foot, which is an expression that means beginning things in a positive and successful way. And I believe we're doing exactly that right now.
Not at all, David. I want you to know that I don't see this as difficult at all. In fact, I find it quite refreshing. The way you've approached this negotiation, coming prepared with data, being respectful, and thinking about the bigger picture, actually tells me a great deal about how you'll handle things like client relationships and project budgets once you're on the job. Here's what I'll do. I'll put together a revised offer letter, an updated document reflecting all the new terms we've agreed on, with the $72,000 base, the 6-month performance review, and I'll confirm the vacation situation by end of day today.
That works absolutely perfectly for me, Rachel. I want to say again how much I appreciate the way you've handled this entire conversation. It's been professional, respectful, and genuinely collaborative from start to finish. I'm very much looking forward to joining the team and contributing to the great work the agency is doing as soon as we're able to finalize everything. And by finalize, I mean officially complete and confirm all the details. This feels like the beginning of something really positive, and I'm excited to get started.
Likewise, David, the feeling is absolutely mutual. I'll have the revised offer letter over to you before the end of the business day, and once you've had a chance to review it and everything looks good, we can move forward with the paperwork. I have a feeling you're going to do really great things here, and the team is going to love working with you. Welcome aboard. Well, almost officially. We'll be in touch very soon.
You know, Rachel, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask, is there anything you'd recommend I do or prepare in advance before my start date? I want to hit the ground running from day one, and if there are any reports, brand guidelines, or strategy documents I could review beforehand, I'd genuinely love to get a head start. I find that the more context I have going in, the more quickly I can add value to the team. I'm a big believer in coming prepared, as you've probably noticed from today's conversation.
That is such a great question, and honestly, it just reinforces why we're so excited to have you joining us. Yes, I'll include a few key documents with the revised offer letter, We have a current content audit, our brand voice guidelines, and a summary of our Q3 goals that would give you a really solid foundation. Most candidates don't think to ask that until their first week. So the fact that you're already thinking ahead shows exactly the kind of proactive mindset we were looking for when we created this role. It's a very good sign.
That's incredibly helpful, and I'll make sure to review all of it thoroughly before my first day. I also wanted to touch on something. During the interview process, I heard a little about the team structure. Could you tell me a bit more about who I'd be working most closely with and how the content team is currently organized? Understanding the team dynamics and reporting structure helps me think about how I can best contribute and where I might be able to add the most value right away. I like to understand context before diving in.
Absolutely. Great question. You would be reporting directly to me as head of marketing, and you'd be leading a small but talented content team of 3 people, 2 content writers and a junior SEO specialist. Your role as content strategy manager would involve setting the overall editorial direction, managing the content calendar, and collaborating closely with our paid media and design teams. It's a highly cross-functional position, which means you'll be working with a lot of different people across the agency. Does that sound like the kind of environment where you thrive?
Absolutely. That kind of cross-functional environment is exactly where I do my best work. I genuinely enjoy the collaborative process of aligning content with other channels like paid media and design, because the results are always so much stronger when everyone is working toward the same goals. At my previous company, I actually led a cross-departmental initiative that brought the content, SEO, and social media teams together under one unified strategy. And that was when we saw that 40% organic traffic increase I mentioned earlier. I'm excited to bring that same approach here.
That kind of integrated thinking is exactly what we need right now, honestly. We've been working in silos, meaning different departments operating separately without enough communication, and it's something I've been wanting to address for a while. So your experience leading that type of unified initiative is incredibly timely and relevant. I can already see how your background is going to make a meaningful impact. I'm even more confident in this hiring decision than I was before. And that's saying something.
That's really great to hear, and I want you to know that I'm fully committed to making that kind of positive impact from the very beginning. One thing I'd love to understand a little better is the company's approach to professional development. Are there opportunities for team members to attend industry conferences, take online courses, or pursue certifications that are relevant to the role? I ask because I'm a strong believer in continuous learning, and I think keeping up with industry trends is essential for producing truly effective content strategy.
Professional development is something we take seriously here, and I'm glad you brought it up. We have an annual learning and development budget for each team member, which can be used for courses, certifications, or industry events. Content Marketing World and HubSpot certifications are 2 things several of our team members have pursued in the past. As a manager, you'd actually have a slightly higher budget allocation than individual contributors, which gives you more room to invest in your own growth. I'll make sure that's noted in your onboarding materials.
That's fantastic to know. A dedicated learning budget is something I truly value, and it says a lot about the company's investment in its people. I think that kind of culture attracts and retains great talent in the long run. I also wanted to circle back to one small detail about the benefits package. You mentioned health insurance is included. Could you tell me a bit more about the coverage? For instance, is it individual coverage only, or does it extend to family members as well? It's just helpful context for me as I'm comparing the full picture.
Of course, that's a completely reasonable thing to ask about. Our health insurance plan covers the employee fully, and we also offer the option to extend coverage to family members or dependents, cost-sharing component for that additional coverage. We work with a well-regarded provider, and the plan includes medical, dental, and vision. I'll include the full benefits summary document with your revised offer letter so you can review all the specifics in detail before you make your final decision. It's important to us that you have all the information you need.
Perfect. Having the full benefits summary will be really helpful, and I appreciate you being so thorough. Medical, dental, and vision coverage is important to me, so it's great to know all three are included. I think at this point, I have a very clear picture of the overall package, and I'm genuinely excited about what we've discussed today. The base salary of $72,000, the 6-month performance review with the possibility of a merit-based raise, and the potential additional vacation week. It all adds up to something I feel very positive about.
I'm really glad to hear that, David. It sounds like we're very much aligned, which is exactly where we want to be at this stage. I want to make sure you walk out of here today feeling confident and excited, not uncertain or pressured in any way. Salary negotiations can feel uncomfortable for some people, but the way you've handled it today has been genuinely impressive. You were clear about what you needed, you backed it up with solid research and evidence, and you stayed professional and positive throughout. That's exactly the kind of communication style we value here.
Thank you. That feedback genuinely means a lot to me, Rachel. I'll admit that salary negotiations can feel nerve-wracking, even when you're prepared. But I've always believed that advocating for yourself professionally is not only acceptable, it's actually expected, and it shows that you understand your own value. I want to ask one more question, if that's okay. What does the typical onboarding process look like for someone joining at this level? I'd love to know what my first few weeks might look like so I can start mentally preparing.
Great question, and yes, of course, ask away. Our onboarding process for manager-level hires typically runs about 4 weeks. The first week is mostly orientation, meeting the team, getting set up with all our tools and platforms, and attending some key internal meetings to get a feel for the rhythm of the agency. From week 2 onward, we like to gradually integrate new managers into active projects so they can learn by doing rather than just observing. By week 4, most people are starting to lead their own initiatives. We try to make it feel structured, but not overwhelming.
That onboarding structure sounds really thoughtful and well-designed. I like that it's gradual and gives new team members time to absorb everything before taking the reins. That makes a huge difference in how quickly someone can become effective. I'm a quick learner, and I adapt well to new environments, but I also appreciate having a clear structure to follow in the early days. It sounds like the agency has put real thought into how to set people up for success, which is another reason I'm excited about this opportunity.
We really have put a lot of effort into the onboarding experience over the past couple of years. We found that when people feel well supported in those first few weeks, they're more engaged and productive in the long term. And that benefits everyone. I also want to mention that you'll be paired with a buddy from the content team during your first month, someone who can answer informal questions and help you navigate the culture. It's a low-pressure way to build relationships early on, and most people find it incredibly helpful.
A buddy system is a great idea. I love that. Having someone you can go to with informal questions without worrying about bothering a manager is invaluable, especially in the first few weeks when everything is new and you're still figuring out how things work. It shows that the company genuinely cares about the human side of the employee experience, not just the technical onboarding. That kind of culture is hard to find, and it's one of the things that drew me to this opportunity in the first place. Honestly.
That's really wonderful to hear, David, because culture is something we've worked very intentionally to build here. It doesn't happen by accident. It requires consistent effort and genuine investment in people. And I'm proud of what the team has created. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground today, and I want to make sure I haven't left any of your questions unanswered. Is there anything else you'd like to know or clarify before I send over the revised offer letter? I want you to feel completely informed and confident.
Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to ask about, and I hope it's not too detailed at this stage. What is the company's general policy around remote work beyond the 2 days per week that's currently included in the package? I ask because I'm someone who's very productive at home, and I'm curious whether there's any flexibility for additional remote days in the future, perhaps after a certain period of time or based on role performance. I'm not looking to work remotely full-time. I genuinely enjoy being in the office. I just like to understand the full picture.
That's a perfectly reasonable thing to ask about. Our current standard policy is 2 remote days per week for most roles, and that applies to your position as well. However, we do have a precedent for managers to have more flexibility once they've established trust and demonstrated consistent performance. It's not something that's formally written into the policy yet, but after your 6-month performance review, especially if you're hitting your targets, it's absolutely something you could have a conversation with me about. I believe in giving people autonomy when they've earned it.
That's really good to hear, and I appreciate the honesty. I'm not someone who needs to work remotely to be productive. I'm equally effective in both environments. But knowing there's a pathway to more flexibility down the line if I perform well is genuinely motivating. It gives me something concrete to work toward right from the start, which ties in nicely with the 6-month performance review we discussed. I think having clear goals and milestones from the beginning is one of the best ways to set an employee up for long-term success.
Absolutely. And that's exactly the mindset we want to encourage here. We believe that when employees have clear expectations and visible opportunities for growth, they're naturally more motivated and engaged. It creates a positive cycle. I'll make sure the offer letter clearly outlines the targets and metrics we'll be evaluating at the 6-month mark, so there are no surprises. Transparency is really important to me, both in how I manage and how I hire. I want you to know exactly what success looks like from day one.
Having those metrics laid out clearly from the beginning is incredibly valuable. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. In past roles, I've sometimes had to ask for that kind of clarity, so knowing it's going to be part of the written offer makes me even more comfortable moving forward. I think at this point, Rachel, I can genuinely say that I'm very much looking forward to accepting this offer. Pending the final revised letter and confirmation on the vacation, I feel very good about where we've landed, and I want to thank you sincerely for the time and care you've put into this process.
David, the feeling is completely mutual, and I want you to know that this has been one of the most enjoyable offer conversations I've had in a long time. You came prepared, you communicated clearly, and you were genuinely collaborative throughout. That's not always the case in these discussions, and it makes my job so much easier when a candidate handles it this professionally. I'll get everything together and have the revised offer letter in your inbox by 5 o'clock today. Please take whatever time you need to review it carefully before signing.
Perfect. I'll keep an eye out for it and review everything carefully. I shouldn't need much time at all, honestly, because I feel very good about what we've discussed today. Once I've reviewed the revised offer letter and everything is in order, I'll sign and send it back to you right away. I want to make sure we can move forward as quickly as possible. I'm eager to get started and to start contributing to the team. Is there a target start date you have in mind, or is that something we can discuss after I sign?
We do have a start date in mind. We'd ideally love to have you begin in about 3 weeks, which would give you time to wrap up any obligations at your current position and also give us time to get your workspace and accounts all set up properly. But that's also flexible if you need a little more time. The important thing is that when you do start, everything is ready for you and you can hit the ground running, which is an expression meaning to start something quickly and energetically without needing a slow warm-up period. Does 3 weeks work on your end?
3 weeks works out very well for me, actually. It gives me just enough time to wrap things up professionally at my current role and ensure a smooth handover. I always like to leave things in good order. I appreciate that you explained the idiom, hit the ground running, by the way. That's such a useful expression in a professional context. I fully intend to do exactly that. I'll be ready and prepared when day one arrives, and I'm already thinking about what I want to accomplish in those first 30, 60, and 90 days.
A 30, 60, 90-day plan. I love that you're already thinking in those terms. That kind of structured approach to your first few months is exactly what high-performing managers do, and it's going to make your transition so much smoother. If you'd like, once you've accepted the offer, I'd be happy to schedule a brief call before your start date so we can align on your early priorities together. That way you'll feel even more prepared and confident walking through the door on day one. It's something I try to offer to manager-level hires.
I would absolutely love that. A pre-start alignment call sounds incredibly valuable. It would give me the chance to ask any last-minute questions and make sure my first-day priorities are completely in sync with what the team needs most right now. You know, Rachel, conversations like this one are exactly why I was so drawn to this company during the interview process. The culture of openness, preparation, and genuine communication that I've experienced throughout every interaction has confirmed for me that this is exactly the right place for my next chapter professionally.
That is so wonderful to hear, David, and I want you to know that the feeling is completely reciprocal, which means it goes both ways. Every person who interviewed you came away feeling the same way, and that's rare. You have a natural ability to communicate ideas clearly and connect with people authentically, and that's going to serve you extremely well in this role. Managing a content team and collaborating across departments requires exactly those skills, and I'm confident you're going to thrive here.
Thank you so much for saying that. It really does mean a great deal. And I think the best way I can repay that confidence is by showing up fully prepared and ready to deliver from day one. I want to make sure that the team feels good about this hire and that everyone quickly sees why we made this decision together. I take that responsibility seriously, and I'm motivated to exceed expectations, not just meet them. That's always been my personal professional standard, and this role feels like the perfect environment to do my best work.
Exceeding expectations rather than just meeting them. I love that philosophy, and it's exactly the mindset we cultivate here. I have no doubt you're going to bring that energy to the team and push everyone around you to aim a little higher, too. All right, David, I think we've covered everything beautifully today. To summarize, we've agreed on a base salary of $72,000, a 6-month performance review with the possibility of a merit-based raise, and I'll confirm the additional vacation day by end of day. I'll have the full revised offer letter to you shortly.
That summary is perfect, and it reflects exactly what I understood from our conversation today. I appreciate you taking the time to recap it clearly. It ensures we're both on the same page, which is always important in any professional agreement. I'll be watching for the revised offer letter and the benefits summary document, and I'll turn it around to you quickly. Is it best to respond directly to you by email, or is there an HR representative I should also loop in when I send back the signed copy?
You can send the signed offer letter directly to me, and I'll make sure it gets routed to our HR department from there. I'll CC our HR coordinator on the email I send you with the letter, so you'll have her contact information as well in case any questions come up about the administrative side of things. We try to make the paperwork process as smooth and simple as possible, so it doesn't feel like a burden. Once we have the signed letter, HR will send you the full new hire packet, which includes tax forms, direct deposit information, and your equipment preferences.
That all sounds very streamlined. I appreciate that the process is organized and clear. I'll keep an eye on my inbox this afternoon, and once I have everything reviewed, I'll sign and return it right away. Rachel, before we officially close this conversation, I just want to say one more time, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, for your openness during the negotiation, and for making me feel genuinely valued throughout this whole process. It's made me even more excited about the role, and I can't wait to get started.
David, thank you, truly. This has been a fantastic conversation from start to finish, and I want to echo everything you just said. You've made this easy and enjoyable, which is not always the case in these kinds of discussions. We are lucky to be bringing someone with your experience, your professionalism, and your enthusiasm onto the team. Go enjoy the rest of your day, keep an eye on your inbox, and we will be in touch very shortly. Welcome to the team, almost officially. We can't wait.
Ha! Almost officially. I'll hold you to that. I'll be watching for that email, and I look forward to making it fully official very soon. Thank you again, Rachel. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And to anyone watching this conversation as part of your English learning journey, I hope this showed you how powerful it can be to negotiate professionally. Use specific vocabulary like base salary, market rate, track record, and merit-based raise, and stay positive and collaborative throughout. You can advocate for yourself and still build a great relationship at the same time.
And that's a perfect note to end on. Salary negotiation is a skill that takes practice, but the key principles are simple. Do your research, know your value, be specific with numbers, stay respectful and positive, and don't be afraid to ask for what you need. In today's conversation, David used excellent negotiation phrases like, "Is there any flexibility there?" "Based on my research into current market rates," and "would the company be open to discussing other aspects of the package?" Write those down, practice them, and you'll be ready for your own salary negotiation. Good luck.